Like, sub, share, speak. All right, AIU crew. I know it's been a while since I've done an Atheism is Unstoppable video. And yeah, I appreciate you sticking it on out with me. He has a ton of content, and I have to pick and choose what I can add to a conversation or what I can, take away from that conversation. So I don't want to just sit here all day pumping out AIU ape videos. But once again, thank you for sticking it out with me. Um, right now, what we are looking at is his Central Park 5 video. And I want to get into that quite a bit because during the 2016 election, and you can go check my other channel, The Official Elected Official, while Trump was running, I kept saying, hey, if you want to talk about the Central Park 5 thing, let's have that conversation. Let's hash it out before he gets elected. No, not even. But here we are years later, and Ava DuVernay pulls out this Netflix documentary special called When They See Us, which has taken a lot of urban America by storm. Like, oh my goodness, like how dare they mistreat these young men in such a way. Ava DuVernay is from the Oprah tree. And this is a tree that includes Sean King, Malcolm X, the white man that thinks he's black, Rachel Dolezal, but no one gets upset because he's impersonating a black man. So, and President Obama, who for what I appreciate of President Obama, I'm actually rather grateful that my father didn't get to see his presidency through because I'm positive he would be very disappointed in how that took place. So Ava DuVernay is really here to push a narrative and push this agenda. And it's what I consider the black victimization agenda. Like, oh my goodness, it's the soft bigotry of low expectations in a lot of ways. And I don't recall her making anything decent since Selma. And Selma was decent, but the only thing I really remember about that movie is how, I wasn't thinking that they would put the portion of history where Martin Luther King kind of was like, yeah, we can't use a single mother to be the face of the civil rights movement. But no, they did it. So, so props on that one. But like, that's honestly my favorite Martin Luther King story. Like, he was like, oh, a single mother? Nah, bro, we ain't gonna get nowhere with this as our representation. Let's get this little light-skinned chick, Rosa. Yeah, she's far better. She's far better for the cameras than a single mother. So, yeah. Getting back on topic, the Central Park 5 is a topic that I'm familiar with. And as we go further into this video, I'll explain where I was and what I was doing at the time, even though it really shouldn't be surprising. And like many things, Mr. Tracy, he calls himself the ambassador for the whites. And so, like with the O.J. Simpson issue, with this here too, he believes that they are 130% guilty and they should still be in prison right now. So what I want to do is take some of this and just make a video out of it and add what I can and add what I can't. Now the deal is that this series that he's producing is like 5, 6, 7 segments long. And check this out. If you look at the far right hand corner, you can see that this video in and of itself is 1 hour and 11 minutes. I'm sorry, I can't take all that. Pause, no homo. I mean, I'm sorry, I just can't ape the video for that long. So we're gonna take a snippet here, and in this segment, he goes after the DNA evidence that many people are saying exonerated the young men, when in reality that's far from the case. So let's get into it.
Let me demystify the DNA evidence. It was semen. That's what we're talking about here. They found semen at the crime scene in a sock. Don't know why it was in a sock, don't know what he was doing with that, but whatever, so be it. They also found some of it in her cervix, but when they tested it, it was inconclusive, as in it wasn't a clean sample and they couldn't pin it on anyone. That doesn't get talked about that much, does it? You didn't hear that, did you? No. So at the time...
And one of the things he did in the beginning of this video is he's talking to people about, hey, what do you know about this case? And all they hear is DNA exoneration, not particularly the nuance of the situation, which is that the DNA wasn't conclusive. Like they couldn't make out whose baby making juice this was. But what they did have was copious amounts of very graphic and very detailed confessions from the Central Park Five. So
they found this semen and they tested it against the 5 men they had in custody, and it didn't match any of the 5 guys. They knew that from day one, so this is not some revelation. It doesn't matter that semen didn't match the guy. I mean, are we operating in a world where we think rape is a one-on-one thing? You can only have one guy rape a girl. And by the way, the only way to prove you raped a girl is if you come. Is that what we're pretending to believe is true? This was a gang rape from the get-go. That's what all the evidence points to. It's a gang rape. Look at the marks on her body, the number of bruises and cuts and lesions that she incurred from this attack. There was handprints of varying sizes on her body. Even she herself, Trisha Miley, she doesn't buy that it was one person. She's like, that cannot be the case. So back in the day, they convicted these 5 guys with 2 separate juries, and those juries knew that they never found the owner of the semen at the scene. So the fact that Mateus Reyes comes forward and goes, oh, it was my semen, what does that change? Absolutely nothing. In 2013, you have this full-blown psychopath and murderer and serial rapist, Mateus Reyes, comes forward and confesses to having raped the jogger. And all it establishes is that Mateus Reyes raped the jogger. So let me just hammer home the point. At the risk of stating the obvious, just because one guy raped a woman doesn't mean other men didn't rape her as well.
And he's right. I mean, from everything that surrounds the story and surrounds the situation, she was unconscious for a very long time. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that, you know, Mr. Mateus here just happened to come across a woman unconscious, was like, hey, let me do my thing. So he's actually right. And one of the more interesting parts is that all of this took place in like 1989. So I was a kid at the time, and all I recall is Central Park Jogger. So when it comes to the details and nuances of the case, I was busy playing with Thundercats, man. And that's a thing that happens particularly, at least for me personally, throughout like, you know, my history, is that I can, like, as far as like big news stories, I can remember that the story was a thing, but as far as the details, I was more than likely doing something else at the time, so it wasn't something that I studied up on at all. And I can't help but feel like there's a lot of people who are in that same boat. Like, okay, yeah, you hear something, but it doesn't particularly sink all the way in. You'll just like think of like it'll be like it'll ring the bell. Like I said, the Central Park Jogger, when they bring up Central Park Jogger, it rings my bell. But the connection between the Central Park Jogger and the Central Park Five is something that, you know, like I never bothered to link together. So I was actually alive at the time, so I can't help but feel like quite a few people who are really boosting this up and really, you know, saying taking this and running with it are people who weren't even around, you know?
I hope that didn't get lost on you when you heard that the DNA evidence proved they're innocent. Because, after all, it was a gang rape. And even though I haven't partaken in many gang rapes lately, I'm kind of familiar with the physics of it. I mean, that...
Me neither.
...is what the 5 teenagers confessed to doing, and that is what the medical evidence indicates. So let me teach you about the birds and the bees of raping. Not all rapists come. For all of these guys, outside of Reyes, this was their first rape. You know how I know that? Well, first off, it's safe to assume these are young men without a history of sexual assault. They had no prior rapes on their record, so I think it's a safe assumption. But also, they said it was their first rape. And I mean literally. Corey Wise, maybe not so wise, because he sat there during questioning and said, "This was my first rape."
So I had to get into it too. I wasn't doing what they was doing. They was on top of raping her completely. I was playing with her.
When you say they were raping her,
huh?
When you say they were raping her, what exactly were they doing?
This how they was fucking her. This what they was fucking. Him, and Steve, and Raymond, and me, and Kev, and Yusuf was playing with her. Like, Yusuf had her arms, and me and Kev was playing with her.
What were you doing?
Now, see, this is part of the reason why I actually wanted to do this section of his video, because it contains the confessions. And as someone who has people lie to him on a constant basis for no reason, I have an idea when someone's telling me something that's truthful. It may not particularly be the full truth, but it's definitely truthful. And his body language indicates that he is being actually rather truthful in this moment in trying to recalling the night that it all went down.
You were playing with her.
Huh?
What were you doing?
I was playing with her legs.
What were you doing to the legs?
Huh? I was going up and down her legs. I wasn't doing as much as they was doing.
Were you going up to her crotch?
No. I was about to. I said no. I could see.
Now, you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, this doesn't sound like he's telling the truth. Like I said, he's being truthful. He's not telling the full truth, okay? Because what you'll do, or what people would tend to do is, A, not, forcibly enter somebody, but secondly, is try to minimize their, their role in what took place. But he's sitting here singing like a canary for the most part.
Exactly see myself doing that. Even though I was up to it, but I wasn't going to do it. I can see the expression on her face that when we do this and get caught by the cops and handcuffs, it's going to be through. So what they did and what I did was different from them. The only people that did it different was me and Yusuf and Kevin did what they was doing. Me and Yusuf was just playing with her.
Did you play with her breasts?
Huh? Used to play with the breasts.
Did you?
No. I didn't go up to the breast or nothing. I stayed on the leg. They told me pull out her pants and pulled out her pants. So Steve got off of her. Steve said Steve called me a punk because I didn't do it. They hold it down. It was gonna Steve ripped her pants with his knife. And that's what made her mad. And that's when she started scratching.
Really, my guy? That's what made her mad? Maybe not the entirety of the situation. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. If you are familiar with my content, I laugh instead of cry because this is really terrible. But no, that's when she panicked. That's when I can't help but feel like that's when she realized, oh wait, this is really, really going down. And she was trying to stop y'all. Not, oh yeah, that's when she got, I think she was scared as shit the entire time. But that's when she really started to panic.
Listen there, Kevin. She was yelling pretty loud. Used to close their mouth. They had bigger heads than us. Close their mouth. So we was looking at her, and I felt kind of bad. This is my first extreme I did to any type of female in the street. This is my first rape. I never did this before. This will be my last time doing it. This is my first experience.
The first time ever I saw your face.
Okay, Devin, you are hilarious, but let's move on a little bit. Because I don't want to get copyright struck.
That night, and she's running, and some of her hair just floats out into the New York sky and just flutters over and lands on the clothing of the Central Park Five coincidentally. Kind of like when Simba plopped his body down and launched some, I guess, lion dander, just small pieces of Simba hair, and they floated out across the savannah, and they ended up with Rafiki. And Rafiki caught the hair and he smelled it, and it was evidence that Rafiki raped Simba. But yeah, none of the guys came, aside from Mateus Reyes. I mean, that's what they said. Maybe the semen in their clothing, on the inside of their clothing, was pre-cum, who knows what it was. But it's highly questionable.
When you saw Antoine take down his pants, did you see his penis?
I was kind of far back. I saw him.
Did you see him have intercourse with him?
Yeah.
Okay. When you saw him take down his pants?
Yeah.
And did you see his penis? Did he have an erection?
I saw him like kind of going up and down.
You saw him on top of her, and he was thrusting up and down himself against her?
Yes.
Was he laying on top of her, or was he kneeling, or was he...
Laying on top of her.
Okay. How long was he on top of her?
For a short while, then Raymond went and Antoine hold her arms.
That's when, who held her?
Antoine hold her arms, and then Raymond went.
Okay, and then Raymond took down his pants? Did you see him do the same thing to her? Was he on top of her, or was he kneeling?
He was on top of her.
And did you see him take his pants down? Did you see his penis? How long was he on top of her?
About the same time.
Was he moving the way you just described Antoine, sort of pushing against her, thrusting into her?
Yes.
Did he say anything while he did this?
No, not really.
Did he look like he was having a good time? Okay. I'm sorry?
Yes.
What about him made you think that he was having a good time? Was he saying anything or smiling?
Like just laughing.
How about Antoine? Did he...
He was like holding on.
When Antoine was on top and when he was inside her, did he have an expression on his face? Was he smiling? Did he laugh? Did he say anything? When Antoine was having sex with him?
Smiling. He was like smiling. Not really laughing, like just that little smile on his face.
Did Antoine tell you that he had an orgasm?
No.
Did...
None of them told me.
Could you tell? Could you tell?
No.
Because the thing is, raping a woman is not exactly the easiest thing to do. I mean, I can barely get urine out of my cock when I have some random guy standing next to me at the stall. So, you're hanging out, you're at the park, you're wilding out. Next thing you know, oh my god, I'm in a gang rape, what's happening here? I guess I should perform? Quite frankly, I don't even understand how rapists can get hard. As in, there's no filter, there's no part of your morality that would shut down your cock. It's astonishing to me. But
you know what? He's not 100% wrong on that one either, because I couldn't imagine myself like... Okay, so I like enthusiasm, I guess. Like, that's like... Not to be too graphic or anything else like that, but like, yo, if we about to, get down, and my exes will tell you, I like for her to definitely be into it, because there's no point if, we ain't about to both enjoy this experience. So that's why it's just never been on the table. It's not a thought that I've ever particularly considered. I mean, also, I'm a rather charming gentleman. Make no mistake, it's not very hard, particularly with all these liberated women running around here. Trust me, it's not very hard to get some cakes. But the thought of, like, putting up a legit fight and, like her screaming and crying and all this other nonsense. Ugh, no, man. No. No, not at all. I'm not a fan.
yeah, these guys, you're out there, it's dark, you're beating up a chick, there's blood everywhere, you got a few of your friends with you, a couple strangers, and you're beating on an unconscious woman who's now underneath you. I mean, at any moment, your conscience should kick in. But apparently it didn't. In fact, Antoine McCrae had a nice little lie that he came up with. He said this. He said he was holding her down, some of the other guys were punching her, and then he pulled down his pants, not all the way off, but down to his ankles, and he got on top of her, but he never inserted his penis. Oh. He just...
Yeah, that's bullshit of the bullshits, because like... like when you unbuckle and you drop trowel, you're pretty much on a mission at that point. I mean, oh, well, I got right at the edge, but said no. Like, bruh, shit, commit to the bit at that point.
Simulated sex so he wouldn't lose face in front of his boys. Now, do you guys believe that happened? What's your spidey sense telling you now about that? That excuse is less believable than a guy telling a girl, I'm just going to do the tip. Okay,
but that's the thing. What I say earlier about minimizing, about trying to minimize your role. No, I just made it look like it was between her. I was just rubbing against her labia, you know, like that's it's something that a lot of people, men, women, green, blue, purple, white, black, or orange, all do, is try to minimize their role, particularly when they have found themselves caught and in trouble.
Let's get back to the original claim. The main takeaway from what you heard. They're innocent because the real rapist came forward. So wrong on so many levels. The evidence that Mateus Reyes raped her has no bearing, none whatsoever, on the evidence that the other guys raped her. More than one person raped her that night. This should not be a shocking revelation to you. And just like...
Okay, I don't mean to be a dick or anything else like that, but I just imagine, you know, Mateus Reyes, like, just coming across, so like, oh, shit, free pussy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's terrible that people think this way. It is completely awful that this young lady went through what she ain't that young anymore, but what the young woman went through at the time is just nothing but awful. That, and I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy or my worst enemy's best friend. You know, like, that's just, it's disgusting and it's ugly.
More than one person beat up and mugged a bunch of other people in Central Park that night. No one person did this to Trisha Miley. But the claim that these men are innocent still lingers. They're called now, or they're trying to be called, the Exonerated Five.
The men known as the Central Park Five and director Ava DuVernay.
I've never seen that five of you.
She just looks so damn crazy to me. She got like these crazy ass eyes, man. I know Oprah be tearing her muff up though.
Connecting in New York at the end of an emotional journey. Together, turning a real story of stolen youth and wrongful convictions into a dramatic Netflix series called When They See Us.
They saw you rape the lady.
I didn't see a lady or hit anyone.
I didn't see any lady. Kevin. I didn't see.
But that's like, I mean, we just got finished watching their like their confessions. This is not the, like, oh my goodness, this is why I hate Hollywood. This is why I hate I'm sorry, I'm using the term hate, dislike, strongly dislike. You know, this narrative weaving that the media really feels as if it has the, well, not feels, like they have the capabilities and the capacity to do. It's just, it breaks my heart that so many people are willing to fall into these narratives. Like, you see this young man right here who didn't do anything. He's sitting here crying, but we watched the confessions moments ago where, you know, it's like, yo, man, I was just on the legs. You know, it's like, come on, man. Like,
Explain the title.
I really became allergic to the idea of calling it Central Park 5. They were given this name by the press, by political forces, and it really takes away their personal...
And, like, you know, from people who weren't you to weave your narrative, right? I mean, like, oh, that's not the narrative I want to weave, so I want to change this, and now I want to call them the Exonerated Five and everything else like that, when clearly there is far more to this.
Power, when they see us, humanizes them.
John, these police will mess us up. They're not playing. They're not.
Before a white female...
Michael Williams? Michael K. Williams, right? That's his name, yo? I mean, it's Omar. I mean, golly, he really has gotten quite a career under him now, didn't he? He went from playing Omar, he was in RoboCop. I mean, he was he was Chalky White in Boardwalk Empire. I really admire his career trajectory, you know?
Jogger was beaten and raped in New York Central Park in 1989. They were just 5 teenagers from Harlem: Yusuf Salam, Antron McCrae, Kevin Richardson, Corey Wise, and Raymond Santana. But soon after the horrific crime, they were arrested and quickly branded the Central Park Five.
He was asked about one of his...
Oh my God, Whoopi Goldberg. Oh my goodness, this is another one of these post-wall, just you shouldn't listen to a cat lady soccer mom mentality type chicks. Now, honestly, just they give her a platform because she's willing to say the nonsense. She's willing to play that victim game, you know. And like it really seems like all the people of darker pigment in Hollywood and such circles are there specifically to press this idea or this notion of victimization while completely ignoring, you know, the reality which was set in place in these communities of which these people come from.
Publicity stunt from 1989 when he called for the death penalty of the 5 young men arrested in the Central Park jogging rape case. They were incarcerated between 6 and 14 years before DNA evidence exonerated them.
Hey, Whoopi, what did the DNA evidence do? What did it do?
Before DNA evidence exonerated them.
It didn't exonerate anybody. The DNA evidence proved that Mateus Reyes's cum is Mateus Reyes's cum. And the fact that it was found at the crime scene didn't reflect well upon Mateus Reyes doesn't mean a goddamn fucking thing about the other 5 dudes. You don't have to go to UCLA to understand that, like me and Ava DuVernay did, to comprehend that. In fact, even if you did go to UCLA like Ava did, you might not understand it.
And the courts awarded them $41 million for this miscarriage of justice.
Miscarriage of justice, she said, unironically. Fucking crazy.
Does he think it's time to maybe offer up an apology?
An apology for what? For not being in favor of gang rapists? Yeah, I fully agree.
Yeah, I mean, without... like, they were not exonerated. The courts, particularly in New York, I mean, New York's criminal justice system is completely off the wall right now. You've had to have seen the videos of NYPD just getting doused with water, and I think they're doing the driver's license thing now. So their criminal justice system is completely bonkers, and I wouldn't be surprised if, despite the fact like with the quote unquote exoneration or the reasoning behind them making sure that these young men were released were to press the narrative of, oh my goodness, black victimization. When if there's anybody who can call themselves a victim, it's the Trisha lady. My goodness, this is ridiculous. And I think this is a pretty good place to end this video, because, you know, it's just it's kind of just reiterating the points. And once again, I think I can draw back to the initial point that I had in this video, where if you wanted to have the conversation around the Central Park 5 before Trump was elected was the time to have it. I personally said to myself that, like, yo, if you're not going to have this conversation now, I don't want to hear it after he wins the election. But, you know, I'm doing content now, and AIU did a video. I mean, he's doing an entire series on this thing, and I actually look forward to it. But this is going to be the only video that I do about based on his series, because I mean, I ain't got all day to be doing this, guys. So with that being said, we're going to bring this one to an end. All the internet stuff. If you liked it, toss it a like. Dislike, go ahead, do that too. I ain't scared of you. Sub if you enjoy my fantastic voice and you want to get videos like this every single day. Share, because sharing is caring. And YouTube and BitChute, yeah, I need you. You know what I'm saying? I ain't concerned about these giant conglomerates, YouTube and BitChute. I'm just glad that they allow me to keep posting. I need you. I'd prefer if you guys would, you know, toss your boy a share, like, hey, I know this guy, he's not that bad, you know? I'd really appreciate it. And speak. Let me know, what do you think in the comments? Has witnessing and actually watching their confessions, you know, giving you any type of different perspective or a different kind of or see the see the case in a new way. Hey, did you never even bother looking into this? And was this the first time that you did? That you caught a good that you got a good refresher, a quick TLDR on that entire scenario? I'd really like to know what you're thinking in the comments. And with that being said, until the next one.